Beautiful music coming your way on Family TV and Family Radio 316. How are you doing? Friday morning, Furahide, as we call it. I hope the joy of the Lord is your strength today. And his peace that surpasses all human understanding is your portion. Lifestyle Friday is what we call our Friday mornings. And we'll be having an interesting conversation with the worship leader and her husband as coming up in the next short while. And so get ready for that. But before we get to that, let's take a look at today's weather, find out the kind of weather we shall be rejoicing under today. Now, my good people in Nairobi, what are you looking at today? Nairobi, you are looking at partly cloudy skies with highs of about 27. And then going down to Mombasa, we are looking at a cloudy day with a bit of sunshine, highs of 33. My good people in Nakuru, Flamingo County, how are you doing? Partially sunny day today, highs of 28. And then Kisumu Dala, you're looking at a sunny day with highs of 30. And like I keep telling you, no matter the weather on the outside, ensure that you carry your own weather on the inside, because it is the weather on the inside that determines the outlook of your day. Tuchambue magazeti, what's making headlines in the local dailies this morning? We begin by taking a look at the Standard newspaper. The fraud who sat in cabinet. Unmasked, Rashid Echesa rose to the top of public service with one of the shortest CVs on record. A grassroots operator with a temper and quick fist, Echesa is a man scorned and feared in equal measure. How he was appointed and cleared for top office is the biggest joke of our times. That's the big story right there. And then there are four things they have listed. He's been accused by a widow, Esther Kabura, of defrauding her of 3 cars. That's way back in 2016. Number 2, dropped out of school in Standard 7, headed ODM Youth Wing in 2007 before joining Jubilee. Number 3, caught up in scandal of 8 Pakistani girls arrested in City Strip Club. That was last year. And then detained last May on suspicion of involvement in Matungu killings. That's a bad CV. Man, that's a bad CV right there. And so there's quite a bit on him in the local dailies today. You can take a look at that and find out more about that. On other issues, ward reps list 16 grounds to remove Sonko from office. Governor has 7 days to appear before the MCAs and state why he should not be kicked out. Some of the claims: cash withdrawals under Sonko's instructions, lack of building approvals by the planning department, failure to pay pending bills running into billions, irregular payment of legal fees to firms, and on it goes. So you can take a look at that whole list in the Standard newspaper today. There's something on HIV and AIDS infection. Apparently, more women infected with HIV as men put off testing. The other day, my colleague Sarah Otieno on the show, This Is the Day, that comes on radio every evening from 4 until 7, was asking this same question. Apparently, less men are going for testing to find out their HIV status. I wonder why. Matters employment, Taskies lays off workers as retail troubles deepen. You can also update yourself on that. Today being Friday, the pullout is the Pulse magazine, all about entertainment and what's happening in the entertainment sector in the nation. If I can take a look at that, it's all about Carrot Love. Find out what that is all about. And then in the back pages of the Standard newspaper, it's all about sports, soccer, and more soccer. Daily Nation, big story: policeman at Ruto offices found dead. Sometimes some of the things that are happening in this nation, it looks like a movie. It looks like we are watching the big screen. 40 billion shillings fake gun tender scandal claims its first victim as the body of Sergeant John Kipyegon Kenei, a security officer who was on duty on the day former cabinet minister Rashid Echesa was arrested at the premises, is found in his house with a bullet wound in his head a day after he failed to record a statement with investigators. Quite sad. Can't even begin to think what the family must be going through in this season. Our condolences to the family. There's also the whole issue of HIV, the war against HIV, and the current numbers in the country. That story also in the Daily Nation. You can take a look at it and update yourself on what it is saying. On other matters, quite a bit on what's happening in the different counties in the nation today, trying to see if there's anything on the locusts in the newspaper today. Being Friday, quite a bit on entertainment as well in most of the dailies. But in the Daily Nation, I like this pull out. It's My Network, Work It. The Nuns, Religion versus Liberty. Is it true that today's younger generation are living religion for good? 4 feisty youth tell us. That's the story in here, also highlighting different people and the kind of businesses that they are doing, telling their story of how they've been able to get to where they are today. And then in the back pages, in sports, there's quite a bit on soccer, UEFA Champions League, and then also local soccer, and something on boxing. Those are some of the stories you will be able to find in the local dailies today, my friend. Grab yourself a copy of the local dailies. Keep yourself informed on what's happening both locally and also internationally. Thank you so much for tuning in. And there's one person who said, I must read their message. I must read their message. If I find it, I will read it for you. That's coming up shortly. Like I said, Lifestyle Friday, we are going to be hanging out with a worship leader and her husband. Her name is Jen Aller, sharing her journey, lessons she's learned, and also what's her take on the current gospel music fraternity in the nation today. So as we gear up for that, here's some music from her so that you can get to know who she is. Fantastic song. It's done by Jane Allaire. It's called Emmanuel. You are Emmanuel, 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 who was, who is, and is to come. Talking about the character and the nature of our God. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. If he did it before, he can do it again. You're watching and listening to Jam 316 Lifestyle Friday. Your SMSs are coming in. Dorcas Mazune from Kawagware, how are you doing this morning? Thank you. You say, it has been great listening in all week. It has been inspiring and exciting. I have learned to be a blessing to people by the use of my words. I'm getting a lot of feedback in relation to the discussion that we've been having this week, and more so today on the devotional hour, just talking about the use of our tongue and the power of our tongue. Different people commenting. One individual saying, how I wish we would learn this lesson even as believers. When it comes to speaking about our leaders and speaking over our leaders, let's not join the rest of the world in just speaking negative things, death and curses and all these things. Let's be the bearers of good news, and let's allow the Holy Spirit to guide us in how we are speaking. Looking at some more messages here. This one is saying, it's been a great week. Great lessons to learn and to apply when it comes to the using of my tongue. I pray that it will not just be a lesson we will say, great lesson. You know, one of the things I usually do when I go somewhere to preach, or when I preach in our church, and after the sermon, somebody comes and says, Pastor, that was an awesome message. That was an anointed message. I tell them, don't tell me with your words. Go live it out. Let me see you living it out. That's when I'll know that it was an anointed message. So this hour, it's all about Jen Allaire, worship leader, gospel musician. She will be joining us in studio in the next short while as we talk about her journey and also her thoughts about the gospel music fraternity in the nation, and also just worship in general in our churches and all that pertains to that. But even as we get into that discussion in the next short while, I want to throw out a question to you. A lot has been said about gospel musicians in the country today. I remember we were having a conversation yesterday with my producer and talking about when we were growing up. Back in the day, we grew up with music from the Kasangas. You know, I come from the Joy Bringers generation. We used to watch Joy Bringers on Sunday. I come from the Sing and Shine generation. You know, we grew up with songs from Munishi. We grew up with music from Mary Atieno. That's the kind of gospel music we used to have. There was a program back in the day, I don't know if you can remember, it was called Nyimbo za Choir. It always had choirs in their robes and they would sing hymns and stuff like that. So that's what I grew up with. But now the music industry has just transformed and gospel music has not been left behind. But a lot has been said here and there concerning gospel music in the country today and our gospel artists. Now, my question to you is this. Do you believe or do you think gospel musicians and their ministry. I don't like calling it industry. They say the gospel music industry. For me, it's not an industry. Do you think they are achieving what they set out to achieve? Are our gospel artists in the country today achieving what the word has set for us to achieve? Tell me your thoughts, 20316 SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786316316. Do you think our gospel artists are achieving what the Bible has called us to achieve? What are your thoughts? So share those with us as we continue with some wonderful music before I introduce our guest to us this morning, that we can have a conversation with her and find out her thoughts about some of those things. Introducing Phil Wickham, coming in with this beautiful song. This one is called Your Love Awakens Me. It's fantastic music by Phil Wickham. Your Love Awakens Me. Playing on Family TV. We are live on Family Radio 316 as well. Welcome. It is Lifestyle Friday. In studio with me, I have the woman of God, as I like calling her. Jen Allaire, how are you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
It is good to have you on set.
Thank you for having me.
You know, we just listened to your song, Emmanuel.
Oh.
That's an amazing song. I don't know what inspired that song.
I was in prayers, and it just dropped.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
You get your songs when you're praying.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
Let me take you back. At what point did you begin to take an interest in music?
Okay. I'm coming from a singing family.
Oh.
Yes,
okay.
But I took it very serious when I gave my life to Jesus.
How long ago was that?
Back in 96.
96.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my pastor then noticed what I carry. And so he started working with me in terms of ministry, of worship, and he grown me to know what I'm called to do.
Okay.
So that is when I started doing ministry seriously.
Okay. So for you, it's been gospel music throughout. You know,
Yes,
some
sir.
people discover they can sing, they meddle out there in the world a bit, then they see the light, then they come to the church.
Yeah.
For you, it's been gospel from the get-go.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I've noticed you look at yourself more as a worship leader than a gospel music artist. Why is that? And is there a difference between the two?
I think it's because of where I'm coming from. When I gave my life to Jesus, my pastor took me to prayers for 3 days.
Both. As a new believer?
Yes. And so after the 3 days, I remember, because I was a newly born Christian, I didn't know how to pray for long. So the first Sunday he took me to church, and I'm an introvert. So I don't like standing
Really?
Yes, I don't like standing before people and talking. That first Sunday he gave me the opportunity to say hi to the people.
Okay.
The next Sunday he gave me the service to lead.
The next Sunday?
Yes. And I didn't know how to pray.
Did you sleep that Saturday night?
No, I didn't. I didn't. So when I led, I remember I led Jehovah, 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 wewe ni Jehovah. And out of that, people started worshiping and crying, and I couldn't understand that. After that, I went back to prayers, and I wanted to know, what is this one that I sing and people start really crying? And that has been my journey. After that, I remember the second time I sang, somebody was healed. And I knew it's no longer just songs. It's a ministry. I'm called to do something more than a song.
Okay.
And so I dipped myself in the scriptures and also growing in the knowledge of the Lord. Yes.
So what would you say is the difference between a worship leader and a gospel artist?
Artists, we are magnifying the aspect of artistic. They're able to project or showcase their ability, their vocal ability. And I was telling people, I trained people in worship, and I told them, I've never seen a meeting of Beyonce people getting healed, because it's the arts part of it. But the ministry part of it, it calls us to engage God more for us to see the magnitude of the power of God in it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Let's talk a bit about the gospel music industry in Kenya today. I struggle with that word industry, but for the sake of being in context, I'll use it. What are your thoughts about gospel music and where it is headed in Kenya today? Because a lot has been said.
Yes, sir. I thank God that I've not been in the limelight for a long time. So that
You don't
means,
like the limelight, do you?
you know, so that means I've been in the machinery,
Yeah.
dealing with the real issues. And I tell you the truth, there is a shift in the atmosphere.
Oh, really?
There is a hunger for real worship. And what we've been saying there before, dramas and things that are not grounded on the scriptures, we're not going to see them anymore.
Okay.
Because people are hungry to see the power of God. So that means somebody has to dip themselves in prayer and also in the scriptures.
Yes.
So I know there is a shift, and I thank God for the ministers that God has raised in our generation to bring tangible worship in these times.
Wow.
Yes.
Tangible worship.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation yesterday with my producer, and I was saying, back in the day when I was a teenager growing up, when I talk about, we used to listen to Munishi, and my cameraman here is laughing, Joy Bringers, Nyimbo za Dini, gospel music, there was no money in it.
Yeah.
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 There wasn't any money in it. You wouldn't even think of singing gospel for the sake of getting money. But then, when there was an explosion of the artistic nature of people, and we began appreciating the arts, and gospel music exploded, a lot of money has come into gospel music. There are people who've done one album and they made a lot of money. Do you think that aspect of money being part of that kind of shaked our musicians a bit here and there?
Yes, it did. Because money and power got into some people's head, and they forgot it's not about them, it's about Jesus. If it is a calling, you will focus on them, on the souls and the people that you're ministering to, more than what you get. Because it's not what we get, it's what we have gotten from Jesus and giving it out.
Yes.
We are dispensing life. But the aspect of money getting into so many people in our days has distorted the aspect of ministry. Yes, sir.
Wow. What's your husband's role in your ministry? Because I know your husband is also a musician in his own right. He plays the instruments, and he's also a pastor.
Yes.
So what's his role? Because inakaa sasa wewe uko kwa limelight, yeye yuko behind the scenes. How does he support you?
My husband, I'll say that he is my teacher.
Oh.
He makes sure that I'm sober when I'm writing things. I don't just write things.
Have you ever
When
written things
I
that you
write
think
a
this
song,
one,
he has to come and look at it and look at it again. He's my number one supporter. He's my prayer partner. And he's also my producer.
Oh, he's also your producer?
Yes, sir.
Has he ever rejected any songs you've come up with?
Oh, yes, so many.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It doesn't affect the relationship?
No, I'm open to a correction and advices from him because I know his heart is in the right place.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes, sir.
Because not many couples would be able to say they've gotten to that level.
Yeah.
Because we have a tendency of taking things personally.
Yes, sir.
So if I write song number 1, song number 2 is just rejecting them, you may think there's something personal he has against me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know him, he's all out to support me in everything that I do. So even if he criticizes everything that I do in that particular time, I take it positively because I know his heart is in the right place.
He
Yes.
wants the best for you.
Yeah.
Wow. You talked about training. How long have you been training people in worship?
I think for the last 20 years.
20 years. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Is training necessary?
very.
Because sometimes we think, God has called me. It's my ministry. But why is training necessary?
One thing that I've learned over the years is that we grow daily. And we can never say that we have gone through the scriptures and known everything. And as a minister, we have to create time for growth in all aspects.
Yeah.
In all aspects, I mean that we are growing in our generation. Things are changing every day. And if you're not in a place of growth, you will think that we are still we are doing things the same way, and we have changed. So every day we are growing, and it's so important to know what is happening now. And I also like saying this, that in every altar, we have different expectations.
Yes.
So if you have not grown as a minister, you'll think that what I did last year will apply this year. And it doesn't work like that. You have to grow daily.
Okay.
Yes.
What are some of the gaps you've seen maybe in our churches being a worship leader? Yeah. When it comes to our worship teams and how we do our worship services, what are some of the gaps you see and what are some of the teachings you provide concerning that?
One of the things is that we have not given so many people opportunity to grow.
Okay.
We have so many people that are talented and graced in this ministry, but there is no much room for them to grow and also to exercise what God has given them in our platforms.
Yeah.
And so I would urge us to give them more opportunities and also give them room to grow because some of us need really good time to grow and people that will work with us in these seasons. So that is one aspect. And then the other thing is that we need to embrace our culture. There is a sound of Kenya.
Yes, there's the Kenyan sound.
There is sound of Kenya, but we have not embraced that. And I love the songs that we're singing in Kenya, the West African and all that. They are good, they are amazing. But there is a sound of Kenya that is so sweet and rich.
Yes.
I wish we can embrace that more. Yes.
Wow. Some comments coming in. This one says, good morning, Pastor Jemo. Great show concerning the gospel music ministry. A lot can be said because it seems like most are just crowd movers and entertainers. They seek to please the people and not bringing them to a place of reverence and worship before the Father. It is sad to note that most of our contemporary gospel music is played in clubs and even in churches, but no conviction from the Holy Spirit is ever present. I think it's because most of the songs are not born in spirit, but in the flesh. And the SMS continues and it's long, but I want to refer to that and ask, could it be that we sometimes say a lot concerning our gospel musicians, but really there was no one to teach them? I like what you've said earlier, that a lot of people are graced in this ministry, but sometimes our churches are not giving people an opportunity to grow. So could it be that some of them, because they realize there's no opportunity out here to grow, let me go out there and see if I can carve something for myself. And because there's no one to mentor me, maybe by chance, the first album I did or the first 2 singles I released, they hit the market and they were #1. And I got money and I thought, oh, I'm great. But there's no one to mentor me. Could that be an issue as well?
It is an issue. I train people. I have started a meeting called Gathering of Worshippers. And the reason why I started that is because some time back I talked to somebody that I honor in this country, and I was telling them we have no right to rebuke the young men and young women that are coming up if we have not taken time to train them and work with them. Because what they know is what they're doing. They will only give what they have. They cannot give what they don't have. So we cannot expect them to give what they don't have. So we have to create that opportunity for them to learn, to be groomed, to be rebuked, and also to be taught how to sit under a ministry. Because most ministers are jumping all over. Are jumping all over. So that means we are dispensing the wrong thing. We need to be seated down and be taught. I believe that there's a place that a minister should be told, no, don't go out today. And they should be able to listen to the person that is saying that. But we find that we don't have that because we've not created that a room for people to be taught and be grounded in the scriptures. Yes.
Wow. You know, you said we need to teach them to be under a ministry. Yeah? You're part of a church. And I know you go out a lot because I see your posts on social media. This day you're ministering here, this day you're ministering here. I think you're doing something with Apostle Juma, or you did something with Apostle Juma. You did, because I remember seeing that poster. So how do you handle that in relation to your church and the pastor in authority over you? Because sometimes it would be like, because you are a worship leader here, hakuna mahali pengine utaenda, you just sit here. How do you handle that?
I thank God for my husband and my pastor. Because I always make sure that he knows where I'm going. And if there's no room for that, if he says, don't go today, I listen to that.
Wow.
Because he's my spiritual authority.
Yeah.
And also, as a minister, you have to know that you have to go with the blessing of your spiritual cover. And also, it's important to balance. Where you are being fed spiritually, you don't go out all the time. Like I was telling somebody last year, I went out throughout, like for 2 months, I would get lost in church.
Yeah.
And I was telling myself, I can't do that anymore. I have to balance.
Yeah.
I have to make sure that I'm being fed spiritually, so that when I go out, I'm able to dispense this, what I'm getting from my spiritual cover.
Yes.
So it's important to balance and
Okay.
to know when to go out and when not to go out.
Wow.
Yeah, because this is a spiritual act.
Yes, it is.
It's a spiritual act. So it is important for me to sit down and just to receive from my man of God. And when I receive, I'm able to dispense. I'm able
Yes.
to give out what I
Yes.
have received.
Because you can only give what you have.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Have you gone through any challenges in your ministry? You know, sometimes we look at Jen Aller, we see your songs, and we are thinking, wow, woman of God, as I love calling you.
Yeah.
Are there any challenges you guys have gone through as a husband
yes.
and wife in your ministry?
Yeah. In ministry, I have experienced rejection.
Oh.
And I'll shock you. This is a recent one.
Uh-huh.
I'm called and I'm booked for a meeting on a Sunday service, and I confirm. And when I went, they didn't know I was going. They had forgotten.
Okay.
And they treated me like an artist. And that is the one thing that I don't look forward to.
Yeah.
Because I don't carry myself as an artist. I know I'm just called to serve the Lord. And so when I was treated like an artist and I'm called to perform, I don't perform.
Yeah.
You just give me a service to lead people in worship. So when I went there, I was telling the Holy Spirit, what is this? I need to know what are you trying to teach me? Because I don't expect this.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I have never looked at the platform as the main thing. For me, the altar, the secret place is the main thing.
Yes.
So when I'm called to perform, I feel like I'm being reduced to perform what I can't give.
Yes.
Yeah, so it really broke my heart. And so it is one of those days that it hits you. Yeah.
Wow. Even as we wrap up this conversation, because my producer is whispering in my ear, I know you're training worship leaders. I know you have a ministry, more than a song. What are you and your husband doing when you think about future generations of worship leaders and future gospel artists? What are you guys doing to help with that?
The gathering of worshipers is tailored to equip the minister in skill and also in the word. And we are looking at seeing ministers that are effective in their spheres.
Okay.
And also to grow them, not only in worship, but also in prophetic worship. So we have tailored, we have come up with some teachings that will help them in the next dimension, that when they stand to worship or lead others to worship, they are able to access these dimensions, prophetic worship, and we can also be able to see signs and wonders in our services.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, here we are. We are glad you are able to make it.
Thank you.
We appreciate your ministry. What word of encouragement would you have to that individual who may be tuned in today and they know they have this call, to lead worship? Maybe they're not finding opportunities where they go to church, and maybe they're a bit discouraged, or maybe they went somewhere and they were rejected. What words of encouragement would you give them today?
Don't stop. Keep at it. Keep at it until when the right time comes. God, I always like saying this, God is able to announce his own. God is able to announce his own. Nobody can shut you down. If you're called, God will announce you.
Yes.
A day is coming that he will create a platform for you to release what he has deposited in you. So don't stop writing songs. Don't stop listening to the Lord, what he's saying in this season. A time is coming.
Yes.
And he will be able to release what God has deposited in their spirit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And to our gospel artists?
There is a shift. Wake up. Yeah.
They need to wake up.
Yes.
There's a shift.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Jen Aller, we are glad you came. Greetings to your husband. I know he wanted to be here.
Yes, sir.
But things happen.
Yeah.
But we truly appreciate that
Thank
he is
you.
walking with you, guiding you, producing your music. You know, I think that's a whole nother topic when it comes to marriage that maybe one of these days we will have in
yes.
terms of supporting each other as husband and wife and not competing.
Oh, yes.
You know, when people are out there saying, wow, Jane, your husband is smiling, he's not feeling threatened, you know, because he knows we are in this thing together.
Oh, yes.
So thank you very much. I hope that this has blessed you as much as it has blessed me. Worship leaders out there, keep doing your thing. Gospel artists, I hope you heard that. There's a shift. It's already happening. It's not about the platform and the celebrity status and the money. It's about bringing down the glory of God. How I pray for that day when we shall be having our gospel artists doing concerts, and in the midst of the concerts, people are getting saved, people are getting healed. The manifestation of God is so powerful that no one can deny it. Well, that's about it for this week. It's been a great week, and we give thanks to the Lord. Look out for next week as we get into a whole new topic on our devotional hour, and even more inspiring and encouraging conversations in the second hour every day, as we enrich you and as we enrich your family. Thank you also for all the text messages that you have sent in. As we end our session this morning, we are playing another song by Jen Aller. This one is a song called You Are Good. Here, You Are Good uliandika lini? Hivi ulikuwa umeenda maombi? Even this one you had gone in prayer. I think that's another lesson. Gospel artists. Enda ukaombe and download some stuff from heaven. So have a great morning. Remember, the show continues on radio all the way until 10. This is Jen Aller. You are good.